Alright, I'm doing today the bottom strips for the garage doors. I said I was going to use a white stock in order to cover the bottom panel, and then use Lexan for glass in the upper panels. Because there's 6 doors here, I've decided to use a duplicator, which I've had for other projects. I've used it a little bit in the past, but this is a great use for it. So I've got the first piece cut to exactly the height that I want it to cover that bottom piece. I haven't cut it to width yet, which I can do just with a square, but the long cut, I'd like them all to be very straight, and obviously all be the same. So I've set up the duplicator, done the first cut to make sure, and then made sure that it's exactly the right size and very square. The duplicator is a fairly simple device. There's a square piece here. It's deep so that it makes a very square cut, very square measurement. And then the front bar here, the stock goes under that bar, gets squared up against the top and against the side piece here, and then screw down the little clamping portion of the front bar, and now the piece will be held very sturdily in place while we use the X-Acto blade to cut running along the outside edge here. Takes probably 5 or 6 draws to get through the this is a fairly thick actually piece of styrene plastic stock, sheet stock. So I went ahead and pulled the blade across the sheet stock. It took 8 times before I was completely through. Actually, I think I was already through the 8th time before I realized that I was starting to cut into the base of the duplicator here. And now all I have to do is release the clamps. And I have a second piece, exactly the same width, and very square, very straight, like the test piece that I did. Same in every dimension. The only variation will be on how I draw the blade. So 4 more of these to go, and then I can start assembling the bottom part of the garage doors. I'll probably do the same type of thing with the Lexan for the windows to get a nice square piece that covers the rest of the garage door. I've built myself a little jig. I built myself a little jig here for gluing these pieces onto the bottoms of the doors. They're being glued onto the back, and in order to keep the bottom edge and corner there completely square, I built a little jig. The jig is just some pieces of aluminum stock that are cut square, put next to each other. I'm using some pretty heavy-duty magnets here. I also have some other magnets for holding the stock in place. And so far I've completed a couple of them. Very square, very I don't know, they look pretty professional. I don't know, not too bad. And so I have one that's in the jig. I've completed 3 more to go with the 3 extra pieces of stock here. I think it's going pretty well, like an assembly line.